How to beat the elephant defense, part one. So first of all, what is the elephant defense? So white plays e3, and then black's going to play b5, e6, and then capture back with their bishop. So this is the elephant defense. It's used by intermediate players to some advanced players. So kind of the natural progression of things is players first learn the suicide defense as black against e3, which is bb7, which works for a while and gets them up to like 1700-ish in that range. And then it doesn't work against stronger players and they need to find a new defense. And this is usually the second one that they learned. And kind of in this spot, they learn, all right, this is a better position, way better than bb7. And you can find some traps and just be, better off in that spot. So those players tend to get, from 1700 up to 1900, and then you can have even stronger players over 2000 that will play it. I've seen some players as high as 2300, 2400 still using it occasionally and playing it pretty well. So me personally, when I started playing against this, kind of my main move was the line that I would always use was taking my knight to a3, so that they would have to kill with their bishop. I capture back with my pawn, and then in this position, I'm sort of threatening to grab their bishop, and so they're going to either move it back or block or bring their queen out. So a few different options that are fine for black, but essentially this particular position is a pretty even game. So I was winning maybe 2/3 of my games in this spot, and I was like, I don't know, not feeling very comfortable with it. I was like, all right, I need to find a different line. So the better choice, what I found, is playing h3 with your knight, and it sort of accomplishes the same thing, or at least against the weaker players still tend to just dump their bishop. And so then you kind of get into this spot again where you're threatening to push your pawn, but you keep your knight, so you have more material. And so then this is actually a winning position for white. Now it's a very complicated one, and there's thousands of different lines that can come from this, but it's white's ahead in this spot, which is better than just moving your knight to a3. So what I'm going to do is 3 videos that go over these 3 red lines here that are mates for white, and they're pretty common. So the most common one that I see is knight to c6. So I'm going to jump over. I've got that steady on a different line. So if they bring their knight out to c6, this is mate in 20. For white, what you do is grab the queen and then push your a pawn. And so then basically what we're doing is targeting these 2 pieces. If we push our pawn one more, we can get their knight. If they move the knight out of the way, then we've got the bishop. So those are kind of the problematic pieces for black and get you the win. Since we've got their queen out, it doesn't matter which route they go. We're going to kill the queen off and then focus on the knight and the bishop pair. So if I'll try to go through these lines and options. If they capture the e pawn, you just capture right back, and here are the kind of the 4 most common responses to this. We'll see. The one that I feel like I see the most is them moving the knight here to get it killed, because they've kind of missed that the pawn is pinning that bishop. So we just capture back, and now we've got their bishop, and we can go get their rook with our queen. So we bring our queen out, capture up here. Doesn't matter which one they capture with. If they capture with their bishop first, we just move over and kill it, and now we've got their rook, and we can just slide our pieces back and forth and get them all killed off. So simple enough on that spot. If I go back, if they capture with their rook first, we've kind of got like an intermediate that we can do. Like black's goal is to keep this bishop sitting here until like the rook is kind of gone through pieces and has like a spot that they're attacking that's covered, like two different spots that are both covered when they're attacking. So a clever little escape from this is to do an intermediate. So if I bring my knight out, I'm attacking their bishop. The rook has to move past, and then we've killed off the bishop. So now we can just use the rook to run through our pieces. And again, multiple ways to do that cleaning, whichever one you feel like doing. So that is if they dump their knight in this spot. We'll say if they move their knight here, which is a little bit more of an advanced move, they're just trying to make it complicated. So now they're attacking 3 different squares. So then what should white do in this spot? And what we want to do is bring our knight out in order to block, so that if they capture here, our rook is not covering a4 anymore. So now we've got their bishop. In this spot, there's a few ways that we can go. What I like to do is the joust, where we're kind of using like an intermediate, and if they attack the other way, then we get their other piece. So like if they come back up here, then we're getting their rook, and we have their rook and their bishop both. So most likely they're going to come down here because they're like, oh, you're attacking two pieces on this, so they think that they might be okay. But instead, we attack the c pawn. Now they don't have any choice but to take our queen. Our rook comes up, and now we've lined up 2 kills for them. So when we take back the bishop, it's no thing. And then just kind of move pieces out of the way, and however you want to do the cleaning. So kind of coming back, let's see, if we moved our knight back up here. So they had 3 spots. So the first one we did is they attacked here. If we kind of go back the other way, if they attack this spot, saying, hey, if you attack with your queen, then this is covered, even though we've got this. It's mate for white, doesn't matter. But we can actually attack back with the knights. So now there's no pieces covering that pawn, then just move the queen out, and then we can get the queen killed, and now we can just run the bishop through all of our pieces. Let's see, coming back, we were doing this, and we bring the knight out. If they kill with their bishop first, we're going to bring our queen out, and now you can see their knight is attacking 2 pieces and their bishop is attacking 1, but our queen is attacking a covered piece and an uncovered piece, so depending on what they choose. So if he goes ahead and attacks with his bishop first, we just kind of move up here. So then they have to then attack with their knights, and then you can see that their knight then has another kill, which will release our rook, so we can kill the bishop with the knight. They have to kill back. Now we've got their rook, and then with the queen, you can kill either piece and get the rook, and same here, you can do an intermediate and go kill the knight, or give 2 targets. Lots of different options on how to do the cleaning, but you get the win. Let's see where I should have marked that space a little bit better. So that covered if the knight comes here. So now we got 2 others to look at. If they bring their rook over, I don't see this as often, but it's the same type of concept of we're threatening this square and getting their knight and opening up their bishop. So they're kind of just like, I'll just attack and see if I can like confuse things a little bit. So in this spot, what we're doing is moving their knight off of that so that their bishop opens up. So if they come down here, we just capture back. Knight comes out. We can grab with the queen, and now their bishop has a bunch of kills lined up. So we need to just keep our queen occupied for a little bit while they're busy killing all of these pieces. And then once it's done, then we grab the rook, and you can pick wherever you want to go to finish this cleaning. So that's if they bring the rook over. Let's see. And then the second most common one, like mostly I see them dumping the knight, but if they're like, all right, I need it, this bishop's a problem, we need to move it out of the way, what do we do here? Then and this might be, you might be tempted to do that instead, but what we're going to do is get the knight killed off. And so you'll see we've got 2 kills lined up, and so this rook needs to figure out like what is it going to do. So usually people will like move it out of the way, so that they're like, all right, now your queen is attacking 2 squares that aren't covered, but that's fine for white in this spot. So then we can do queen pana, which is where when we move up here, we have an uncovered square and covered squares that we're attacking. So when they come down here, we can attack, kill the rook back, and now we're targeting this bishop, where if they move, the natural instinct is to then move to this square, and we'll just do that. They move to this square, and then we do the pana where we cover or attack the uncovered piece, and now their bishop has to run down and kill all of these pieces. And then we can go ahead and just use the bishop to kill the rest of the pieces. Handful of different ways to do that. And I don't remember, if I go back a little bit, I don't know if I ran it another way from this spot or not. Let's see. I think that's the other option. If they attacking a different piece, but like that's not doing anything. Like that's just, all right, I can kill here, and then it's the same scenario where this bishop is lining up to kill a bunch of pieces. Like their bishop is basically just stuck. Like there's nothing they can do with that bishop. And then again, finish the rook cleaning however you want to do it. Lots of different options. I'm gonna go back. So that was the 4 lines. If the queen attacked on this square, if we come this way, a lot of the cleaning is going to be the same. Like these are the 2 main pieces that we're looking to use, so it's going to be a similar type thing, but we essentially need to get this queen killed off first. So we don't want to leave our rook here so that they'll kill the rook and disrupt kind of our setup. So if we move it over here, now it's covered, and then we can attack these guys again. So if they decide to delay and kill this piece, like that doesn't change anything. Like we're just kind of like moving pieces while we're waiting to then kill it back, and now we've got these 2 guys trapped again. So if they move the bishop back because they don't want the bishop attacking this square, then we can grab the knight and then run it through the pieces again. And now we've got an intermediate where we can bring our queen out and attack this space, and no matter which way they go, then we're going to go ahead and get the rook because we've got multiple pieces lined up. And then in this spot, you're like, oh, wait a second, how do I uncover this or whatever? Oh, intermediate again. So some of these might be harder to remember how to do the cleanings, but I think once you get into the positions, you kind of work through them. We'll come back, and if they attack down here, and then we'll just say they kill the rook, we're still sitting in that same spot where we have the knight and the bishop. And just like all of if you remember the cleaning the first time, we're coming up to here again, and we're in that same spot. So here you could just move. Last time we moved our knight over here to do an intermediate, but that was because we had a rook down here covering that spot. In this spot, we can just move the knight out of the way because we have the rook not doing anything. So finish the cleaning there and get it killed. And then I think maybe there was one more option, but it's kind of the same. again, if they come down here and attack this piece, I think was the one that I didn't do. Same type of deal. We're still threatening the knight and the bishop, and no matter where they go, we've got that same pattern. If we go back, I don't know if I marked. I don't know if I did this one or not. I did not run that one. But we can look and see, like, all right, what does Stockfish say to do for cleaning? Like, you can just move through them, move pieces up and out of the way. They're going to run through. Stockfish wants you to do an intermediate. That's good. I like that. Definitely got to move the rook because your bishop is covering that spot. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And now you've got the bishop. So a handful of ways to do it, but you can get it killed. All right, so that's going to be it for this particular video. I'm going to do, the next video I do will be if they move their bishop out to here. So I'll do that in a little bit. And then the third video will be if they move their bishop back to c8, which that's actually the most common one that I think that I see, is moving it back to c8, and then it opens up the queen, but you can basically get to this position, and then that's mate for white. But I'll go over those in my next video, so these aren't too long. We'll see you guys next time.